Hello, bonjour. Welcome back to the Open Debate. My name's Elder. This is another conversation with. We're having Saint.Stereo here on the channel this evening to have a good old conversation about communism, activism, and all good things around that nature. Political stances, things like about that. But he should be here soon, and we will continue the conversation. But I appreciate everybody showing up. Make sure that you tap the screen, share the stream, get anybody into the conversation that you think would be interested in hearing what's going on. But yeah, Saint's going to show up any moment, and we will get the conversation started. But it's going to be interesting. A good old round of discussions. He's just getting ready right now, so he will be in. But like I said, we're going to be talking about communism, activism, political stances, content in general, about here on TikTok, all sorts of fun discussions. And here he comes now.
Oh, thank you. Hold on
Saint,
a
to
second.
see you here.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh,
Sorry,
good.
I'm here.
How's it going?
I was like just getting home, so like I was just running.
You're all good. You're all good, man.
All right. What up?
There he is. There he is.
Oh,
The
thank you.
man of the hour. How are you doing? How are you feeling today?
Good. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I appreciate you
Yeah.
for coming out and being on the show here on the Open Debate. I've been trying to focus more on one-on-one interviews and getting to know what people believe. More of more in a discussion setting rather than having people talk over each other all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm
Since it's fun
interested
to
to
box
hear your
people out.
point of view.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Jim. So
Yeah. I'll start the conversation off by asking you the first question that I normally ask individuals that come on to the channel.
mhm.
Um, how would you describe the type of content that you make here on TikTok, and what got you started making content?
Um, it's a big part of it's just my praxis. I'm trying to inform people about the material conditions, about capitalism's failing, and help people realize that there's a better way to do things. What started me out of the pandemic, I guess. I was like just,
Okay.
isolated, so I got on TikTok and then did it here. So yeah.
I found that to be a common situation that drove people to be more involved on social media was the time that
hmm
they spent throughout the lockdowns and the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had nothing else to do. I literally and improved on my hobbies and talents and just like still had like room to kill. So yeah, got on TikTok.
And those underlying issues that you found driving into your life became something that you found, if I have the time, why not put my energy towards working towards these types of things?
Well, I've always just like hyper focused on different stuff. I'm never idle, really. I'm always going hard at something. So like, it's not this is guitar or Japanese or you know anything else.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to live your life. You need to definitely have outlets to express yourself with, or you
hmm
feel a little stagnant.
Yeah, definitely. It's ADHD is a big part of it though. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I always got energy. I always have time to kill.
yeah. What is your relation with that and the way that you interact with content online, or the way that you make content? I guess you could say, if you do say that you have ADHD, how does that affect things?
The way TikTok is, the instant gratification just is like exactly what like my body craves, I guess, in a way. Like it's just like that instant dopamine. So like it gets like people call it doom scrolling or whatever, where you're just scrolling for hours and whatnot. Like I don't really do that much. I mainly just make content. Like I don't watch as much of other people's stuff as I should. So like I just focus on
Do you have a mic in your ear?
yeah.
Like, do you have
It's
headphones
just
in?
a yeah.
Okay. Maybe
You
rubbing
want me to
on
turn mine?
something a little bit. Yeah, just a little
Okay,
bit.
it's probably my earring. I got you. Thanks, bro. Sorry. Hold on a second.
You're good. I know the way it goes when you got long hair and earrings, then you got microphones that are stuck up on the
My
ears.
bad.
You're all good, man.
So
All is good.
all right.
Yeah. That's
Or
that sounding a lot better.
my
But
bad, I
yeah,
had no
yeah.
idea.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Anyways,
Um, so yeah, so what made you choose TikTok over other platforms to speak your mind?
I mean, I was like I have like profiles on pretty much everything, but like my sister did it, I guess, and she recommended it. And so I was
Yeah.
just like, okay, checked it out, and then just kind of worked pretty quickly, and here I am.
Mhm.
It's been about a year and a half now, about 2 years maybe. hmm I enjoy
And
it.
what have yeah, I was gonna say, what has your experience been so far on this
Good,
platform
really.
compared to other platforms?
Oh, I'm garbage everywhere else. Like I don't like I don't know, Facebook, Instagram, anything else, because like I draw and stuff and do art. Like I was a creative director, and I uh I post my art and stuff on Instagram. It just never really took off or hit at all. So I don't know. I guess I'm good at talking about, you know, my practice I do and etc. And so it works here. So like this is like fundamentally way different than any other platform. Like for me.
Hmm. Just in terms of engagement.
hmm Yeah, 100%. Like
Yeah,
way more interaction than anywhere else by far.
yeah. And do you find that both positive and negative, or does it sway in either direction?
No, it's usually positive. I get a lot of trolls, a lot of like, just those faceless accounts, user string and number stuff, and lots of stuff. People pushing hateful ideology, but like it helps boost my content, so I don't really mind that much at all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Especially when it's coming from accounts that you can clearly see are not A, creating any content, and B, are seem to be only there to troll. If you're going to be engaging in content, whether it's negative or positive, it's only going to boost that into the algorithm. So I wouldn't
Yeah.
take that negatively.
No, it doesn't bug me at all.
Yeah,
It's enjoyable.
I feel that's definitely something that I think that a lot of people do receive, but I've noticed that some people try to act as though it's only coming from one side. So whether you're on the left or the right, there are
No.
certain areas where they're like, "Oh, I'm being attacked. It's only me." How do you feel about that?
hmm It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter what your ideology is. It's just used to sow division. It's on the far left. It's on the far right. It's in centrism. Like they have trolls everywhere. I mean, I've seen that though too. Like where everyone's like, oh, like Republicans be like, oh, Republicans are the only ones that get banned. Like I've lost 13 accounts. Like, like, it's a thing that happens. It's everywhere. I don't think it specifically targets anybody.
I agree with that. I think that
I
it's
think they just,
widespread, and that
yeah, I think it's just there to make turmoil, create turmoil.
yeah, keeps everybody thinking that they're the ones that are being targeted.
hmm
Yeah,
And it
no,
divides
I
us because then we
definitely.
think like the other side's not being targeted, and yada yada yada. Keeps us fighting.
One thing that I have noticed when you just said that you're doing better on TikTok than you do on other platforms. When I went through
hmm
your content, because I have like a whole bunch of questions here, just like I went through your content to see like different topics that you were talking about and stuff. One thing that I did notice is you take a very um, comedic approach to your responses and the way that you put out content. So, do you take yourself super seriously in the content that you make, or is it more? Yeah, do you take yourself super seriously with the content that you make here on TikTok compared to other platforms?
As in, like my attitudes towards making it,
And
like
as in the way, okay, yeah, because I'm not trying to say like the message that you're putting forth, but the type of
right.
content. So like you seem very comedic, but also you're speaking about what you truthfully care about, but your presentation seems very comedic here on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
use humor
guess
to get your point across, but do you do that on other
it,
platforms as well?
it's just me. I don't know. I don't really have like a mode of operation. I just kind of go at it, like whatever feels right in the moment. I never really think about it too much. Like I wing everything, so it just it's honestly just what I'm thinking. Like I present pretty much the same in every aspect of my life, wherever I'm at. I don't have different modes. I don't like code switch on and off to different personality. I'm 100% me all the time. So regardless of a reply here or like I don't really engage in social media anywhere else though. So like basically just here, and it's usually just who I am, just me. So yeah,
So that brings up a question for me.
sure.
What have you noticed here on TikTok, and how do you feel about the idea of individuals who create those fake personas or a character that they play online in order to get their point across?
If it's something they want to do, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I don't really find issue with it. I mean, I've seen some that are like problematic in a way, like kind of like shitty to people, but other than that, no, no issue. As long as people are doing
Yeah,
what they want and just, I don't really care. As long as it's not hurting anybody.
of course, right? Like, yeah, you don't want anybody to be impacting others' lives. But I'm kind of discussing the idea of you put forth content that is genuine and true to the way that you believe, and you make
Mhm.
it because you believe in these things. But if
Mhm.
you were to be creating this content purely based off of persona that you believed would gain attention on social media,
So
and
like
in
clout
real life
chasing,
you
yeah.
actually didn't act that way, how do you feel about those personalities? And have you ever come across anybody that you have felt is enacting a character like that?
No, not really. I mean, like I imagine that's a thing. I've never seen it personally though. Um, the people I interact with seem pretty genuine. So like someone that's presenting like a real person, not like a caricature or something. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I've never seen it. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but it's not really my business either. Like
Sure.
if it's something that they can do, that's fine with me. I mean, I think the truth will always like. I mean, I hope it does. It could be naivete, but like I hope the truth would always prevail in those situations to where like if it's something they didn't believe in or fundamentally disagreed with from like an ideological standpoint, like in politics or whatnot. I mean, that's on them. That's their business, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like let sleeping dogs lie, and things will come out as they come. It
Yeah.
should all,
Yeah.
yeah, all come
So
out in the
again, if it's
wash.
not really hurting anybody, like I don't see an issue.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. The only way that I would say that it could potentially be hurting somebody, or like where I could see people having an issue with this, and like where the question is leading, like I'm not like trying to push you into this situation, is like if you are advocating for a cause that you don't genuinely believe in, but simply are doing it to quote unquote grift the movement in order to take advantage of that certain situation, that's where I have an issue with things. But unless, like we just said, if it comes out in the wash, if you figure that out in the end, like
If
that's what happens.
Yeah, if it's harmful ideology, I guess. But if someone's pretending to be a leftist, like they'd be pulling people left, I'd be for that even. Like, like I mean, if even if they're getting money or whatnot, it really doesn't affect me, and like it still would help my movement. So I guess if it's misrepresented, there's a lot of nuance to that, really, honestly. I guess it'd have to go by case.
Sure.
Like I can't say like unequivocally like I'd be okay with it, but because I can see a lot of instances where it'd be issue, especially if like they're a bigger creator and had like grounds or a following, and they're misrepresenting ideas or like teaching people the wrong thing and putting it under that label. That's where I'd have issue with it, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, it could definitely happen. It's an
Hmm.
interesting thought, and yeah,
Have
I
you ever
don't know
seen it?
anybody specifically. I don't
Hmm.
know anybody specifically that I'd like to call out right now. There are some individuals that I definitely have in mind, but it's all very niche and specific to underlying beliefs where it's like, are these individuals true to the way that they're acting, or are they creating a character that they know people will feed and latch on to? You see this with both left and right wing independent news outlets when the hosts are super into whatever they're talking about and they talk about the dumbest things, and you're like, you cannot believe what you're talking. You can't believe what you're saying. Do you really?
Like
Um,
Tucker Carlson or like Anderson Cooper, like one on each
good,
side.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
good descriptions. Yeah,
yeah, I can see that. Again, like it
but
wouldn't
from
really, I don't know, it wouldn't really bother me too much as long as they're not like pushing hate or something.
mhm.
Hmm.
So that's the thing, though, like you said, right? As long as if they're not pushing hate, but does that come just from like your own ideological beliefs? Because you had said that if they
Yeah,
were trying to advance your cause, but also being disingenuous in the way that they were doing it, you wouldn't have as much of a problem with it as long as they weren't being negative in your own mindset. Like you said, it's very nuanced. It is a kind of a
yeah, it's super nuanced to me. Well, to me anyway. It's like I don't generally get into other people's business, and so I just try to mind mine and do what I do. So like as long as it wasn't personally affecting me, I don't think I'd ever do anything about it, even if I saw something like that.
yeah, just allow them to live their lives. And
Exactly.
I guess that's a question I can ask you. It's kind of the idea of a form of activism. I have a whole section on activism, so we'll get to that at a
Yeah.
certain point. But this just it's in relation, and so like you said, if it doesn't affect me too much, and it's not affect well, you didn't say it's not affecting other people, but I can assume that that's what your belief system would fall around. That you wouldn't interact or enact very much because it doesn't have anything to do with you. And so, how do you feel about the notion that inaction is a form of action, or like not saying like silence is violence?
Right. Well, like I agree with that. Like because like that's if I saw somebody being harmed or something happening that was harmful, and I didn't speak out, then like that is if yeah, that's like me. That's not. I wouldn't do that. I can't see that. Like the whole reason I am like on like leftist TikTok or communist is because like I care about what happens to people I don't know. Like that's really all it is. Like the idea that children get bombed is hugely problematic to me, and it's like I really would like to do, do something about that, or at least get everyone water. You know, that'd be cool. Um, so like, yeah, I definitely think it's like if you're complacent or silent to like violence or hatred, then like it's an issue.
Um, I definitely understand where you're coming from, but that's where I'm feeling a little conflicted with the idea that if somebody is acting disingenuously and only trying to further themselves while taking advantage of a cause that is like somebody like you would be taking very seriously and trying to advance, I feel like they are
Hmm.
being negative in
Negative,
that
yeah,
realm.
but like
Even
harmful. Like I said, it's nuanced. Like
sorry,
I'd have to
harmful.
see like,
Harmful would be the word. I
yeah.
think that they are being harmful because even if at the end of the day, when they are found out to be exhibiting these characteristics, if hopefully they are, that will set back that movement because individuals who disagree will have more ammunition to say, see, this is why it was negative to begin with. These individuals have been doing this. And I just think that it does negatively impact things. I don't know. It's not like you have to do that. I'm just wondering. I was just wondering what your thoughts were. Because I do see some
Hmm.
people online that I don't think are being genuine. I don't think that you need to be calling them out, like you said. I just wondered if you've ever seen it or noticed it before.
Not like I said, I don't watch a lot of content. Like I mainly like I don't know if you, I know you've seen like some of them, but like I make like 8 videos a day, so like I don't really have room to like really scroll too much. And like the people I interact with on a personal level, like I know well. Like I know at least they're got boots on the ground. They do stuff like in the real world, and they're good people.
Yeah.
Like for the most part. Like obviously people slip through sometimes, but like when someone's like a predator or something using like leftist spaces to get clout and stuff like that, we call that stuff out. Like we've gotten rid of a few people like that.
And that's definitely good for a community that's trying to build a solid base of
Yeah.
individuals that can be trusted and should be listened to. Because if you're not willing to call out individuals within your own community, then I don't trust you when you're calling out people outside of your community. Because the
Right.
people that are closest to you are the ones that you know the most about.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So that's respectful, man.
I mean, there's a lot like I don't like call out culture too much or cancel culture or any stuff like that. Like it, it bothers me. People make mistakes a lot. People do things that aren't right. We're all human. Is basically all I'm saying. Is like, and so like we gotta be more understanding everywhere. All humans, I think, need to understand that humans are humans and they're gonna do stupid shit or stuff sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah.
A question that I'll ask you about that, I guess, is It's a question that I wanted to bring up to the stream, but I haven't made a full video about it yet, so I haven't really asked it. What does it mean for somebody in 2023 to actually be racist or homophobic or transphobic? Like, if somebody, and just so that I can say it in a longer format, if somebody
Hmm.
says a racist joke or a homophobic joke, and it's not something they do all the time, or it's something that they thought was going to be funny and didn't hit, it wasn't funny, but they're not actively exhibiting those characteristics in their life, does that
Hmm.
make them homophobic, racist, any of those slurs? Um,
That
because
moment does, I think.
in
Yeah.
that moment, okay, I want to hear. Yeah, I just want to hear your
Yeah.
perspective.
Like, I mean, like, I don't think people can. I think that people can, like, generally be decent people and, like, not be any hateful thing. Or I don't think anyone's ever one thing, honestly. But, like, say you're using, like, a racist joke or something, like, that needs to be pointed out. Like, that's part about being anti-racist, is that, like, you can't let racist shit happen. I'm sorry, it's going to happen with Chris sometimes. Racist things happen near you and around you or with you noticing and not you speaking out against it. So, like, that moment, like, yeah, but, like, especially for like white men in America, like we grew up in a system that has like so much privilege that you can be totally cognitively like unaware that you are doing like either microaggressive things or like blatantly racist things, and so like you can't know until somebody tells you. And so like in that moment, like you just need to reflect and fix your behavior so you're not hurting anybody's communities or people themselves. I mean, jokes are meant to be funny. Jokes aren't meant to be stuff that furthers violence against marginalized groups of people. So transphobic, homophobic, racist jokes, they're not okay. Not in my book. Like,
Let's see. Humor is definitely subjective, and so a good way for me to bring this question together is: there a difference between individual racism and racial situations? Is there a difference between racist people and racist um, tendencies, or
could you elaborate?
so
Because humor is
a
subjective,
racist
but like
person,
hate's not. Yeah.
of course, hate's not, but the idea of
Mm.
humor and types of jokes can be rooted in reality and the belief systems that individuals hold. And so, what makes a certain thing funny at certain times isn't necessarily because it is proper. Sometimes the joke comes from the fact that it's not okay. If it was something to
But
be exhibited in real life, it wouldn't be okay. Hence the idea of dark humor.
yeah, but the people that all right, so like those jokes are usually based in like a lot of like coming from a place of privilege. Like it's funny to like other white people, or it's funny to straight people, or et cetera, et cetera. It's never like inter-community. It's never in the communities that are marginalized. And it's like when there's like a marginalization happening, which is like the only group you can really truly make fun of, or like seems to like have any impact, or the most commonly done anyways. It's it's called it furthers like anti whatever group sentiment. It furthers that it's okay to it others further. It's just it's not about humor. It's about like making fun of someone for marginalized characteristics, which is fucked up, which is messed up. So
Hmm.
like I don't
Yeah.
think it's acceptable, and it's not a bad thing to just be pointed out that like you're harming someone else's community or you were being accidentally hateful with a joke. I mean, because like it was commonplace until very recently to just let that stuff slide.
And so that's kind of
And
what I'm asking you, right? So, like, if somebody
mhm.
makes those types of jokes continuously, I understand the difference, but
No,
especially
no, one off,
online, you're
no,
going to make
yeah.
not even just a
I
one
mean,
off,
like,
but in that situation, right? In that
yeah,
situation, do you recognize the difference between a racist person, somebody who is constantly racist, and a racist situation that happens? Something that you can call out and be like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
was
Like if they're
something that
like a
I
hateful
disagree
person, or
with.
yeah, I mean, yes, it's case by case every single time. But like when somebody like has just been afforded a lot of privilege and whiteness and like don't realize they're being racist, it's common, and like you don't create positive change by being hateful to them in that situation. I mean, like, but there's not a lot of room for allowance as soon as people tell you, and if you continue that behavior, then it's issue. But in a
Yeah,
single
that's definitely a
situation,
different situation.
in a single situation, you just talk to them, let them know that what they did was seen as problematic or hateful or what have you, and hope they listen. And that, the first time, like, yeah, it's never in my book, it's never taken as like they're a horrible person because they said one stupid thing.
Here's a question that I have for you as well. You're from the U.S., right? You're not from Canada.
Yep.
So we have a little bit different opinions or like different outlooks on life. But somebody in the chat had said, how much, like, what did they say? How much racism? You guys still
Froze.
here?
Yeah.
You guys back? Yeah, it just
We're
said that I
back.
disconnected from the internet for some reason. Um,
No, you're
the
good.
question had said, how much racist behavior qualifies as racist behavior?
Repeated. Yeah.
So essentially, like, how much do you let slide before you consider this person to be an individual who exhibits racist behavior?
As
And
long as
it's a
oh, okay,
question that
sorry.
before you answer, I just want to like say an interesting thought that I have is I certainly know individuals who exhibit racist behavior, but are not racist people, if that makes any sense.
Not really. I guess because like if you have racist behavior, like you are kind of racist. Like I mean, like there's not a lot of levels to it. Like so I lost my point. I was gonna say something first. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question, like so I can retrain
Yeah,
my
I
thought
forgot
here?
you have ADHD. I do as well. That's why I'm
Yeah,
writing
it's
stuff
really
down.
really
So I'll try
bad.
not
So
to
like
cut
I
you
might
off. I'll
interrupt
try
you.
not to
So
cut
just
you off
yeah,
again.
it's all good.
um, how much racist
'Cause-
behavior, like how much racist behavior does somebody need to exhibit before they're considered a racist person?
Okay, yeah. As long as there's growth happening, and as an individual that you can see, as long as they're working on themselves and growing, it's better. I mean, you want to create more people that are aware of their nonsense and working to break that down and unlearn the biases they were taught. So like, there's not like a quantifiable amount. There's no racist line. I mean, like if they do repeated behavior intentionally and show like no room for growth, then like that's that. Like in my book. Again, these are all
Hmm.
just my opinions, but like, yeah, I mean, if they're unwilling to learn, if they're unwilling to listen, if they get too fragile, if they don't address their issues, then that's just too bad. Then I just get them out of my life. I'll just block them or
And
just
you
not
had
be
already
around them.
said you do not advocate for the idea of cancel culture. And so, what would you just said you got them out of your life? Is that what you would
I would
advise
block them.
individuals to do to
Yeah.
people in their lives that they don't want to be
Yeah.
around like that?
There's some instances where like I'm for like publicly outing things if it's like super harm if it's going to be like more detrimental to other people, then like sometimes it needs to be known. Like I always
Uh-oh, you
prefer giving
froze up
people a
there,
chance to
man.
get better. Am I still here?
Oh, you're back.
Okay.
Sorry, you
Um,
froze up there just before you gave the description.
yeah. So like, as long as that people, I lost my train of thought again. As long as people are growing and being better, and like I always give people leeway to be improving themselves. You know, because like you don't want to create more enemies. You know, if you can fix a racist person, and you know, most people just don't know. Most people are just unaware, and it's just a thing about information. And so but like if it's something that's like insanely harmful, if like someone's doing things deliberately to be hateful, yeah, out that person. I don't care about that. But petty
Yeah,
things like one time things or like stuff that might have been accidental because of whiteness or privilege is like to me I'd rather not, and I won't personally ever out somebody or like call them racist on a public platform for that.
your mic's rubbing a little bit again.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good,
Shitty
man.
headphones.
It's the old type of headphone that you got. It's the
Mm,
ear thing. I do the same
yeah,
thing
yeah.
whenever I have them plugged in. But I feel what you're saying, man. Yeah, you shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You should definitely give individuals a chance. But if they choose to continuously exhibit negative characteristics, then you got to figure out what you want in your own life. It doesn't mean that you need to end their advancement and happiness with whatever they're doing. You just need to cut yourself off from them, and they don't need to be a part of your life. They're not advancing you any sort of way. I
Hmm.
kind of feel the same way. I definitely don't think that you should worry about them that much, and I don't think that individuals who exhibit hate are going to get very far in life in general, but we'll see.
Yeah,
um, yeah, we'll
hope
see.
not.
Yeah, we got lots of questions here, though, for you, man. So
Sweet.
essentially, we've talked about your content so far, and we haven't even gotten to this point, which is very, very important, I would say, in the type of content that you make. So, you describe yourself as a communist. Is this true?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm an
This is
anarcho-communist. Yeah.
true.
Yes.
Anarcho-communist. Okay. So we're going to
Hmm.
get into the communist discussion here. And to start it
Okay.
off, I just want to know from you, how would you describe communism or anarcho-communism? And just in your own words. And
Sure.
just so that we're on, yeah, how would you describe it so that we're on the same basis, on the same playing field?
In my ideal society, is be a combination of anarchy and communism. Anarchy is the abolition of all hierarchical structures with oppressive power at their core, and then society be structured on a volunteer basis without the need to coerce anybody into participation. That would be for like the governing side. The communism side's for the economy, so like free and equal access to the means of production, stateless, classless, moneyless society. Post-capital technology to provide free and equal access, and a politically conscious working class of the gross majority able to work the system to get what they need. So that is the bare, simple, overly generalized explanation. Like no borders, no control. But like it's not like traditional how people perceive anarchy to be is like chaos. It's still order, just no oppressive structuring.
So, like, what do people genuinely get wrong? Generally, get wrong about anarchy?
They think it's chaos. Most people think it's chaos. It's not. It's It means the structuring of society without kings or rulers. That's what anarchy means. So like it's still an ordered and structured society, just without kings or rulers, without top-down oppression. And let me be clear though, this like there's a lot of definitions of anarchy and a lot of different types of anarchism. So like mine is just mine. Like and it's the generally accepted anarcho-communist, but like there are nuances sometimes. Like some people don't believe in like power dynamics existing, which I don't ever see going away. So like, or like hierarchical structuring, like at school or stuff like that. Again, I don't see that going away either. So in that sense, like there's still hierarchies even in some situations, but overall, no, nothing that's oppressive or that forces people.
And you said there are nuances. So, like, what are some of the differences between how you believe anarchy should be and what other people say it is?
Yeah. Well, you get to like the exact opposite of what I am. You get like anarcho-capitalist, and capitalism is a structure of oppressive hierarchy. So you can't fundamentally have the two together, but there's a whole lot of people who think you can. So like they kind of take anarchism to be the least amount of control possible. So like they're for like a totally free market, nothing else, like no other control, no state and no government body. But you can't have money without a state, and you can't have a market really like with capital without a state. So I don't think it's a thing.
Just doesn't align with how you view the world whatsoever.
It
Like the
doesn't
two
align with
can't
like
come.
any like the definition of anarchy or anything about what anarchism should be because there's no freedom under that system, so it doesn't work. Like so, it's fundamentally not. It's just not anarchy. But yes, I mean like it's also just I don't believe it would work or could work, and I'm against it. So like I guess that's true too. But yeah,
So you don't think that it could work or would work or could work? Obviously, the question here is: communism ever worked successfully in society?
Hmm.
In your content, I've seen you state that you don't believe that communism has ever been actively implemented the way that it should be. But the question
It's
that I
not
would
a.
have to you is to allow you to explain this in your own words. What do you
Mhm.
think? Has communism ever worked successfully before? And then I have a follow-up question afterwards.
Sure. It's not my own belief. Like, I don't really have beliefs with a lot of this stuff. They're like just things that I found by looking at statistics and
You froze
definitions
for a
and just
second, man.
okay. I don't know. I got full bars. It might be your connection.
Yeah, you're back
Let me see.
now. You're back now. It was right when you first started your description
Okay.
around how you felt.
All right. So like to start off though, like this isn't my opinions or beliefs. There a lot of everything I talk about has some like science behind it, some like factual, statistical number gathering, and like communism has never been put into practice anywhere because it hasn't. Like the theory of communism has never been implemented. They have started social experiments. Countries have gone like China, USSR, Cuba, Venezuela, etc., etc. But that's not communism. That's socialist practices to like implement socialism, the transitionary phase between capitalism and communism, and it's just never been fully pulled off yet, and it won't ever. There will never be a communist country because countries on their own can't be communist. They can be socialist, but that's it. There can be state socialism, but not communism in a single region.
Why
So
is that? And just watch your mic a little bit. It's just rubbing a little bit. I don't know what it's rubbing on your coat or something. I just want to be able to hear
I'm
you
about to just fix it.
as best as I can.
No, I feel you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to
But
be.
so why will it never be able to be implemented?
Not like until the entirety of the world goes. Because borderless, stateless, moneyless, classless. As long as there's other countries with those things, like you can't have that isolated. And like you can't have just one communist country. Like it doesn't work. You still need money to trade with other capitalist nations and stuff like that. So like it's not full on communism until the world is.
Because they would be taken advantage of by the rest of the world if they were to open up their
They would
borders
just
to
be
that type of.
stomped out. Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say, I was like, it could definitely be implemented. It just would not exist for very long because the rest of the world
Not for
would come in and
international
be like,
trade though.
yeah, never mind.
As long as you
No,
got every other
yeah,
country to go along with it. I mean, yes, I like, I guess totally in theory, yes, you could, but it's very, very, very unlikely
no, I agree with
because
what you're saying. I had to
every
think about
capitalist
it.
nation
Like, why?
tries to shut down every people's movement. Which is, I'm sorry, that was the second part of your question, wasn't it? Why it's never worked or never been fully implemented is because capitalist interference. By and large, the CIA was founded as the OSS. One of their founding principles was to stomp out socialist revolutions and like to like preemptively strike them out. There's like a lot of evidence to that. They don't even hide it. So every single time they spend billions of
Well,
dollars.
I wouldn't deny that they were been out there trying to stomp out any sort of change in political
Hmm.
structure throughout like the global scale. But um, when it comes to communism and its implications on different societies and the way that things could be implemented, it's not only
Hmm.
like has communism ever worked, right? It's how could communism be implemented correctly, in your opinion, if you had the go ahead to just do what you wanted in the world?
If I could just structure the entirety of the world, you just get rid of the
Just
owners and
snap
then
your
just keep
finger.
everything running pretty much. What's up? I'm sorry, what
So
you say?
just the snap of your finger could be changed overnight.
Yeah, yeah, you just stop like paying the owners. Like we pretty much pay our bosses so we go to work. We pay them to let us like work a job we don't want to work. We destroy 40% of all the goods we create everywhere in the world. We have 16.5 million extra homes in the United States. There's only 500,000 people who are unhoused in this country, and we have 17 million vacant homes. Like I would stop like the need for accumulation for the sake of accumulation. We could structure everything differently. We'd need to work less hours. We'd be post scarcity. People wouldn't be dying of starvation or exposure. The way that we structure society now is nonsense. It does not work, as we can see. 60% of the population in the entirety of the earth live in poverty. Like that's it. Capitalism don't work. It doesn't. If it worked, I'd be all for it. I'd be 100% a capitalist if it if there was no kids dying from it. So like, yeah, I would just
So you do seem to have like a very visceral reaction to the idea of capitalism, and so rather than talk, we have more to talk about with communism, but the idea of capitalism, right? Like, I'd love to just know, like, what all are your grievances with capitalism and the way it's been implemented in society so far?
every single contradiction that we interact with in society, every single thing that's like based in hatred or othering of people comes from the idea it wasn't made by capitalism, but capitalism amplified those things that were already there. Like the slave trade was a thing that has existed since humanity's pretty much been a thing, but like capitalism amplified that to its like nth degree. In the United States, it became chattel slavery, or they commodified every single part of the human body and made people slaves for life, which was never a thing before here. Um, Stuff like that. I mean, like it creates every main issue. People that benefit from society claim that they own the land that we were all born on, and that we have to work. We have to work to get the things that we need to live from. And for somebody to claim that they own this, we were all born here. Like, why could anyone own that? They don't do anything to create the land or caretake it or do its upkeep. Nothing. They do nothing for it, and they collect all the fruits of its labor because they make us work it through the existence of a state, like which is a monopoly on violence to control our access to the things that we need to live. I mean, no one has to be here. We all are here. We obviously work together naturally. We're naturally a community, a society. So why not do it right and just make sure everyone survives? Like, I don't get it.
Hmm. And what are the biggest negative impacts that you've seen capitalism have on the world so far?
The environment, like, is a huge one, but like also the global south is decimated. There's still like slave trades going on there. There's still people being like murdered. War, the advent of war is only for resources. It's only to access other people's stuff. All these ideas are pre-scarcity. They're all nonsense. I don't know if capitalism had a place that like helped society advance. I really don't think so. But I could be wrong about that. It's just like when I say like every bad thing, like it's every bad thing. The Industrial Revolutions like started to kill and pollute the planet. It commodified people's worth and time. We have to sell our entire lives to get the stuff that we just need to live, which is nonsense. Then there's systems that let kids die, or they let kids unalive every day in the street, like in this country and around the world, especially. And that like it's 2023 and there's people on this planet that don't have readily access to clean drinking water. That's nonsense. We have a helicopter on Mars and we can't have like people get water. That's nuts to me. That's something we got our priorities messed up somewhere. So yeah, in general, I mean, like I could go on for a
Yeah,
while about
no.
that probably. Yeah.
Well, we're here for the conversation. You can go on as long as you'd like about anything that you are passionate about, because that's what we're here to discuss. Like, I definitely understand where you're coming from, especially with the clean drinking water and the prioritization of our tax dollars. If I'm going to be putting our like in 2023, if we don't get to choose where our tax money goes, there's an issue. I don't want to just throw like blindly fund things that I do not care about. I think that if we were going to allow the public to vote on or to not only vote but specifically direct their funds into specific regions within programs, the government
Mm-hmm.
would be shitting their pants because they would have no funding for certain things that they want, and we would have all the funding for what society needs. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's my opinion, though.
Like I mean,
I think
yeah,
we could
black
fund
book
it all with our
operation, stuff
tax
like that.
dollars.
That'd be nice. I
I
mean,
think
I
that
guess
we
that
as
was like,
citizens are already funding the government, and we could just fund ourselves with the dollars that they're taking from taxes if they were just reallocated to what we wanted as a society.
in the United States, we could do that with like just the police. Like it would be like easy. They have such an overinflated budget, especially the military as well. I mean, like it's a lot, and yeah, that would easily house everybody, feed everybody, even under current conditions, with like still destroying 40% of everything we make, which again is nonsense. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a step in the right direction anyway.
Yeah. we're not going to see this for a while because the individuals who are in charge are not willing to give up power. But individuals like you and I are sitting here talking about solutions, and if you and I can come up with a solution that quick, that may not be a perfect solution, but it's a step in the right direction, then clearly
Hmm.
nobody's actually talking about how to fix our society. If
They don't want to fix
two
it. It's
regular
not
human
broken to them.
beings can come
Yeah.
together and figure out a quick solution, no one's actually thinking about it or talking about it.
Well, they don't think it's
So
broke.
one question that I have to, 100%
Yeah.
broken. I agree. So a
Well,
question that
they
I
don't
have to you
believe it
though,
is.
this is the last one that I have here in the communist section.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
anything else about communism? I am more than willing, and I'd love to hear like your thoughts. But one question that I do have that I'm interested to hear from you: is there anyone that you look up to as an exemplary example of a good communist?
Like a person,
Yeah,
like Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton. Basically, any communist is like not a bad person, and because like the idea is that you want to see
I
the
don't
end
mean
of
like a good
exploitation.
person. I mean like somebody who exemplifies what communism is well within your ideology of what communism is.
Fred
Somebody
Hampton.
that you could go and look up and be like, oh, that's what communism is. That's a good communist. That's like, oh, that's what communism means. They
Fred
exemplify it
Hampton.
well.
Yeah. Fred Hampton.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a chair of the Black Panther Party of Chicago in the 60s, and he created like mutual aid stuff. He brought together very diverse groups of people, formed the Rainbow Coalition. One of the groups was called the Young Patriots, um, which were Confederate flag flying like racists essentially. And he just went and talked to them one on one and like got them to join, and they've been a part of like the left ever since then. Uh, his praxis, his beliefs, his ability to understand what the fundamental values of society were and how to take care of his own people and then put that into practice was astounding. And he got assassinated by the FBI when he was 21. So like he did all this like when he was really young. So but yeah, that's like essentially to
Mm.
me an ideal communist. Even though like we have different, he wasn't an anarcho-communist, but like the way he did his stuff was the best. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, thank you. That's an interesting individual that I've never heard of before. That I think a lot of individuals here in the chat can go and look up for themselves. Fred
Hmm.
Hampton.
Hampton,
Yeah,
yeah, like
Fred.
Hampton, yeah.
Interesting character. Sounds like he's had a very influential career and influential life while he
Wasn't
was
very
here.
long, but yeah, yeah,
That's
definitely
often the
did.
way
I
it
feel like
goes. Some of the
if he never
shortest
got
lives are the most
assassinated by the
impactful.
FBI, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just said some of the shortest lives are the most impactful.
Yeah, they tend to be like the most put under a microscope, like afterwards, posthumously. Is that the right word? But yeah,
Hmm.
um, I mean, like they really got rid of him. I feel like if he never would have been assassinated, like we'd be very close to socialism by now, if he kept up the same amount of energy and work. Like the WIC program in the States and like a lot of these other like school lunch ideas, the free lunch stuff came from Fred Hampton himself, from what they did in the Black Panther Party in Chicago.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's a good legacy to have,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
right? Helping
The WIC program
individuals.
gets babies food. Yeah, that's pretty good practice.
And that's one of those things, right? Like when you are gone, when you're no longer here with us, what would you like your legacy to be? And with that being said, he seems to have, regardless of you, whether you agree or not with his political positions, if you are going to have an impact on society, that even where you have helped influence a program that helps young children have food where they don't have the opportunity to get food at home, that's a pretty good legacy to have. I'd
Hmm.
love to have that rather than nothing in my life. It sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, that was like kind of like the
Respectful.
catalyst for a lot of my ideal was like I don't like to see innocents hurt. Anyway, anything that's innocent, especially children, like people as well. But like, it just doesn't seem right to me to be like forcing anything on anybody ever. So.
Mhm. Especially those who don't have the option to stand up for themselves. It doesn't matter how weak you are. as a full-fledged adult, if you have the ability, you may not be able to stand up for yourself, but you could. You have the opportunity. You may not be able to at this moment. But for individuals who don't quite literally have that ability, there's an innate feeling where it's like, I need to stand up for this person. I need to help
Mm-hmm.
them out. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I like
Mm-hmm.
that. All
Yeah, I
right,
feel like we all
man.
have that
We got
to
some
some
more
extent.
questions.
Let's go.
Yeah, we got some more questions here for you about activism. You
Mm-hmm.
yourself, do you consider yourself an activist?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
All right.
to an
I
extent. It's
thought
been
you
mostly
did. I
online lately,
thought
but
that
yeah.
you would.
Yeah.
I thought you fancied yourself an activist over there. So the first question I got for you is, what
Mm-hmm.
got you started in activism and why?
My
So I'm
lineage,
sure this
in a
went
sense.
beyond TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it started when I was younger. My lineage, like I'm German Jewish, and most of my family was taken out in the Holocaust, and on my dad's side, and on my mother's side, I'm DNA or Navajo indigenous, and like all that family's gone. My grandma was like the last member, um, and so like when I was a kid and I learned that, it like hit me because I don't have an extended family. I have no cousins. I have no, I don't have an extended family. I just have my immediate core family, and that's literally it. And so like I never understood why, and then when I found out what happened, like it hit me really hard, I guess. And so like I looked into World War II first and really learned all about that, and then I learned about colonization and the genocide that happened to the indigenous here. And that was pretty much just like, well, no thanks, I don't want that to happen again. So that's what started it. That was the catalyst. So I started learning about that,
And
and
when was that?
I think the first time I was like 17 when I fully understood the grip of the the implications of
Just for the crowd, like do you remember like around like the years like that we're dealing with here, like 2006, 2004,
one. No, like
1999?
5, 2005, 2005-ish. Like I was out of high school, so
Yeah, we're around the same age then. Yeah, yeah, okay.
hmm I'm 34. I just turned 34 in December. So
Looking
yeah,
young, looking nice.
I try indigenous blood, I think, because my dad didn't look this good when he was
You
my age.
don't age
Yeah,
until you age.
yeah. Well, I know. Yeah, that's real quick all at once. I know. But yeah. So like, I was 2005-ish. I was just out of high school. Like I was very I grew up really poor, like really really poor, but like in a very conservative white area. So like I was able to go to like a better school kind of for like my city. And so like I grew up with a lot of different notions about the world. And like I was first like a libertarian, like because like I saw like inequality and stuff still as a person, but like I just instead of going to over here to where I eventually got, I went further right, became like a member of the Tea Party and stuff. And then like that disintegrated quickly. And but when I was at Tea Party, that's when like I was in the Tea Party until like 2018, I think. Then like 2017 after the Charlottesville stuff, uh, that was the first time I black blocked as with Antifa. I can't really get into too much about that, but I can just say that it was like the year it happened. And but like I was a
Why can't
libertarian
you get into too much about that?
because it's just like I just don't want to talk about specifics because like
Okay,
some things may not have been fully within the scope of the law, and so
that's okay. Yeah, don't
yeah,
ever implicate yourself.
yeah, right. And so yeah, it's just that's when I was a libertarian. I was first time black blocked with Antifa, and then as things got more progressed in over 2017, 2018, like a lot of stuff was brought to my attention about how like much the Libertarian Party were racist, et cetera, which I've been like very suspectful of for a good minute. And then eventually I just came left, and then I kept looking for the truth. I just wanted to see the best way forward for the most amount of people. I don't care what it's called. That's all there is to it. And it ended up in anarcho-communist. Because I really don't see a better answer. And if I do, I'll stop being anarcho-communist that second.
So you black blocked with Antifa as a Tea Party member?
I was technically like an ANCAP, more or less. I didn't call myself that, but like that's pretty much what I was. Yeah. Yep. As a Tea
But
Party
then
member, like
realized
locked in.
that that party exhibited racist tendencies that you did not agree with.
In my personal experience, I'm not saying that's unequivocal. I'm not saying that's a for sure all everybody. I'm just saying that like the people I personally dealt with that like I took a lot of my ideology from
Mhm.
were yeah exhibiting a lot of racist, a lot of hatred towards the Black Lives Matter movement, etc.
And then this can also put into perspective that individuals who do prescribe themselves with Antifa may also exhibit racial tendencies depending on their own ideological beliefs. You're not
Hmm.
ignorant. You're a normal human being. I know that you're not even going to try to deny that. I can see you there.
Yeah, no, of course.
That's
Yeah.
why I like talking to you.
Hmm.
That's why I like talking to you.
I mean, I have like
Some people
I've
really
had
do
a
like.
decent perspective.
I was just going to say, some people really do try to dance around these type of conversations. So when you say something that's so blatant as the fact that you were prescribed to a party that you found to be exhibiting racial tendencies, but attended a bloc event with Antifa during that time, and then to turn around and say, "But I think great Antifa members are racist." Well, it's like it can go both ways. Like you said, not everybody in the Tea Party is racist. Not everybody
Right.
that's there is racist. They can overlap the same as anybody else.
Hmm. Of course. Yeah. But there's tendencies in
Just
the
thank you for
Libertarian
being
Party
real.
that seem to draw racism. There's nothing in Antifa that draws that. It's supposed to be anti that. It's supposed to be anti-racist, anti-fascist.
So
So like you
yeah,
can
so I'm
still
gonna
end
bring
up
it up
with
to
like
that because like
yeah,
I just want to ask you this question, right? Like in general, just to like
please.
formulate things.
Hmm.
Um, Antifa. I know that you definitely prescribe yourself as Antifa. I have this down here. Where am I?
Yeah.
You describe yourself as Antifa. So what does that actually mean for you and for everybody here that's listening? What does it mean to
Hmm.
be Antifa?
It is to just to stand up and fight fascism wherever you see it. The core concept to make it like socially untenable to be fascist. The reason fascism gained a foothold in Germany and like became like a big issue for the entirety of the world was complacency to fascism, was to letting it go on for too long, like to letting it happen. And so like the promises is to like not to let that happen. So I have a lot of interest as like Jewish person who's queer, non-binary, man. Like I have a lot of interest in making sure fascism isn't a thing anymore, or like doesn't gain a large enough following. So just doing whatever you can to stand up against it, like even if it's just like telling it to go f off. Like I mean, like just making it more complicated for fascism to be a thing in the world today. That's what Antifa is. Anyone that's not for fascism is technically Antifa.
And what would you consider fascism?
By definition, like fascism or fascists. Like I mean, people people readily identify as fascists now. Like there's I'm not like the liberal like murky line sort of like they're calling conservatives fascists. Conservatives aren't fascists. Like yet. I mean, it can happen, but like it's not a thing really. Like fascists are people who literally identify as Nazis. Well, the Proud Boys are fascists too. Like so, like there's a lot of neo-fascists, like a lot quieter, but they're being a lot less quiet nowadays. So like anything that is like from a governmental standpoint, or do you want to learn like an interpersonal standpoint?
I
Like
want your
it's
own personal standpoint. Yeah, interpersonal. So thank you for saying that not all conservatives are just fascist for being conservative,
no,
but I'd love to know just yeah,
yeah.
what does it mean to you? Because we're learning here in the chat.
To ascribe to a hateful ideology that others everybody else to the point of like you're blatantly racist, homophobic, transphobic, that was actually causing physical and like emotional physical harm to another human being. And it's usually subscribing to fascist ideologies. Like there's no conservatives that are also literal fascists. Like they're fascist because they're fascist. Like they have that. Like no one's accidentally
Hmm.
fascist. Is what I'm trying to say. Like it's like where you really root yourself down in hatred and
So
just
a very base, because I know a lot of people aren't following, a very base description, fascist,
hmm.
means you believe what?
You believe in usually white supremacy. You believe that a group of people is better than other groups, like or the one group being superior to everyone else, and that you believe through enacting violence you can somehow get some sort of benefit from that. Like, it's not, it's not, I mean, like, usually, like, they just self-identify as fascists. Like, it's not too hard to see them. Like, the people that are violent, white supremacists, is a fascist.
Okay. I definitely have an understanding of where you're coming from and where you're feeling those emotions about the idea of fascism and individuals who exhibit those attributes. I would also go a little bit further to say that it has to do with a political opinion and one that exhibits what's the word? A
Totalitarian, like,
firm
control.
belief of bigotry. And so, like, you do not like separate ideas that go outside of the boundaries of what you choose to believe in. You want your own echo chamber. You're doing your own thing. You do not want outside influences coming in to change that sort of situation. Like, really, just like, I'm just using words that are normal. Not, I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't have a good explanation or description, but fascism goes hand in hand with bigotry. But fascism is more of a political ideology that influences the way that a country runs, where
Right.
bigotry is an ideology that flows through individuals. So I do agree with
Supremacy
your
is, yeah,
description. I do see.
yeah,
I do agree with your
yeah.
description. I just don't think that it only has to do with like white supremacy or,
No, no, I'm just
um,
talking like personally,
but it
like
does have to do
experience.
with those as well.
Yeah.
A question that I
There's not
have
a
for
lot of
you,
nuance
because
to
you
it
are in the
though.
United States,
Sorry.
there's a little bit of nuance, maybe, but we'll get back. We'll
Not
get
a
back
lot
to that,
though.
right? Because you're
Yeah.
in the United States. Not a lot, but there is nuance to what it is. Not a lot,
Can I
though.
say
There,
something
I
real
agree.
quick
Not a
though?
lot.
Real quick.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
keep seeing
for
this in
sure.
the comments, like forcible oppression of people who are being forced or who are exerting forcible oppression. So like basically shutting down fascism is not fascism. It's not the same thing. It's self-defense for one, and for two, just being just shutting down a group of people from talking isn't even fascism. That's not what fascism is either. So like that there are differences. Antifa by definition, the word means anti-fascist. You see the problem, yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they exhibit anti-fascist ideologies or belief systems or attributes just because they choose to call themselves Antifa.
But there's no group.
Right.
I
So
mean
you can recognize that the actions that you choose to exhibit do not reflect the name that you give yourself.
that's no, I can't. Like cuz it's not fascist to shut down fascism. It's not.
Oh no, of course, with the description that you're giving right now. But I'm just saying in general, to call yourself Antifa does not negate you from ever being able to exhibit fascist tendencies.
Oh no, no,
This
yeah,
group
just
could
because it's a
still
name.
exhibit
Yes, you're
fascist
right.
tendencies.
If
Yeah, you
if it
know.
was a group, yeah. Yeah.
So if somebody was to
Yeah.
give you a good description around the way that they are exhibiting these tendencies, I don't believe that you're somebody that would just turn a blind eye and pretend like that wasn't happening.
No,
So if
if it
somebody has
was a
a really
thing,
good
yeah.
description, that I think
Hmm.
that there are definitely some, but I'm not here to argue with you or try to like change your mind about it. I'm just here to talk about it, and I'm here to listen to your perspective. If they want to try
Hmm.
to find something, go ahead. But I don't. You're a normal human being, and this is why I'm here for the conversation. This is why I'm enjoying talking to you, because I've heard other people say in the comments below they've never heard somebody that does believe what you believe openly say that all conservatives are not fascist, which is insane. A, because clearly all conservatives are not fascist, but B, the fact that they believe that everybody who believes what you believe thinks all conservatives are fascists. So it's very good to hear from somebody like you who does have your beliefs to let people know that no, like you're a rational human being and there's a reasons as to why you believe what you believe. That's why I'm down for these
Hmm.
conversations. And I
No,
appreciate you
definitely.
being
That's
here,
why I'm
man.
on here. I appreciate you having these conversations. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's
So
yeah, it's good
they kind
talking
of
to you.
asked what the second. Oh, sorry. You can go
No,
on.
you're good. Good, please. I don't know. I lost my point already. Go ahead.
We both have mad ADHD. I'm only good because I wrote everything down. I'm like looking at all my questions and
No,
stuff.
I didn't do any prep
Um,
at all. I forgot until you messaged me, so I was like, oh yeah, shit.
no, you're good, man. I like learning about the individuals I'm going to be talking with, and this is about you. I'm trying to learn your perspective and get a better
Right?
understanding around where you're coming from. And so I think that the person in that comment kind of asked the second part of this question, but
Hmm.
not exactly the way that I was going to ask it. So, if you were born in the United States and the idea of being an American citizen or a United States citizen, so American citizen, a United States citizen, isn't the idea isn't the idea of being American inherently anti-fascist?
No. Like in what way? I guess like
So
if
why
it
not?
was true to like the words they say, yes. Like freedom and liberty, those things, yes. Yeah. Um again, like one of the parts of like the reason I am who I am is because I believed in those concepts I was taught as a kid. I believe in the idea of like what America should have been, and I wanted that. That's why I was a libertarian first. Like I believed in those things. So like yes, that idea, yes, the way it's ever operated historically, no. Like it's I think it's always been structured to get to where we're at and go further still. Like I don't know if that was the
But
intention
is that a
in
relation to the government or the people?
the government. The government. It's all
Mhm.
because of the government. Like I mean, the the founding of this country was done by slave owners who said everyone's created equal. I mean, so they're lying immediately. Like so everything else after that's just null and void to me at this point. Like it's a nonsense notion. You're good.
Okay, so I feel that. I understand where you're coming from, but individuals who don't prescribe to any really hard political beliefs or anything, but also identify as American or a
Hmm.
United States citizen, would that not inherently make them anti-fascist? Somebody who, like you said, the
As long
idea of what it means to be a United States citizen. I get.
you
I
can
was
be.
going to say American. Now, obviously, we know it's not America, but whatever.
Yeah. It's fine. I can say like you can obviously be against fascism, but like to be anti-fascist is to take a stance against fascism. Like there's no inherency to it. It's something that you have to actively choose to do. But like if you're not pro, like you most likely are anti. Like and that's all there to it. Like there's no organization, there's no group, there's no membership. It's just promising to stand up against fascism because fascism cannot be allowed to return. Well, I mean more than it already is. Well, it never really went anywhere. A government, a large government body, and like it needs to go away
What?
entirely.
Oh, you froze. You froze, buddy.
Am I still? I got green lights.
Oh, you came back. You're here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
froze for a
unfroze.
sec, but
Weird.
you're back.
Weird. This app. Okay, Adam. Good contribution, bud. If you're anti-fascist, that's just the same as pro-fascist. Just letting you know. Zero line. Understand? Really, Adam? Prove me wrong right now. Go for it. Hello. Are you here? Open. Am I here? Everyone? Can everyone hear me? Hello.
See that? Oh, you're back.
Modern, do you see me? Am I good?
I was gonna say, yeah, you were paused for so long there.
No, you were paused. You were paused. Everyone else hears me. I was talking to the
But
audience.
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, if everybody else hears, I'm just gonna let it keep going because normally they can hear what's going on, and I cannot.
No, you're good. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate that. Crony capitalism is not real, Todd. Sorry. Okay, kids. Y'all happy?
So now I'm the only one that doesn't know what's going on, eh?
No, I'm just talking to comments. I'm just being bored. You're good. You
All
didn't
right,
miss nothing.
we're all good. We're all happening. Um, the idea of activism, the idea of the United States being inherently anti-fascist
Hmm.
within its own beliefs, right? Um,
At,
I didn't
within their
hear
own
your
words,
response.
I would
Okay.
say. I'd say it's within their own
Yeah,
words. Yeah, not their
but
own
you don't
beliefs.
believe that you don't feel as though United States citizens believe the words that they portray.
Yeah, I'd say the average citizen on in general believes those words. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the
like
average
the
person
things
in
that
the
they
U.S.
taught.
is just inherently anti-fascist. Then it's like a normal
No, I
thing
mean,
for most
like,
people.
in a sense, I'd just say they're inherently against the idea of fascism while also living under a quasi-fascist state. So it's um it's more linked to I guess complacency isn't anti, you know? It's not a stance against it. So like it's not for it necessarily. Like everyone believes they don't like Nazis except I guess literal Nazis. But see like they identify themselves pretty openly nowadays.
So more so, you're saying that individuals in the United States are living in not a fantasy world, but
No, no.
they they exhibit characteristics in their own life or in their own beliefs that are being pushed against them. So they're like advocating against things that are happening in their own lives, but they don't recognize that it's happening around them.
Well, we don't know the right answers a lot. Like I didn't know the right answer forever. Like I was 32 before I figured it out. Like the things that we're taught in school and our in the education system, which is a misnomer because it teaches you nothing, does not educate you in any way except how to like be a good worker drone and to shut up and listen to authority, not critically think about anything. So like you're taught to just go along with any authority you see, and like when you're taught that and you never question it, you will go along with any authority you see. So like they see, the government, they just roll with it. I don't think it's any sort of hatred or ill will on their part. I think they're just complacent within their system because they have to be, because they have to work to live. And our education system is non existent. That is exactly what the Democratic Party does,
Yeah.
yes. That's exactly that. But so does the Republican Party. Again, I'm not a Democrat, people.
And just to let you know, you can focus on the comments if you want, but you can always just swipe around and not worry
Oh,
about
yeah,
them.
I'm not.
They're all going to be saying whatever they're saying. um, so, a question that I do have for you here on the page is what changes have you seen since you started advocating to make a difference?
More people on each side in large numbers. Like lately, with inflation, people's material conditions are getting worse. People are getting paid the same amount, and inflation's going up, and so they can't afford the same quality of life they used to have, and it's making people a lot more politically conscious. That doesn't always equal like better; it just equals like they're involved in politics when they weren't before. And so, like I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of people on the right and the left um, amassing, I guess, in a sense. It's kind of like watching the beginning of the end of capitalism or the society as we know it, because it's going two ways, and there's no third option. It's going to lead to total fascist, like feudal fascism, or it's going to lead to a socialist or communist state, or not state, society. Sorry.
So,
And
you think
so
that there's an inevitable downfall of the society that we currently live in?
capitalism is meant to fail. It's not meant to be a thing forever. The economic downhill race to the bottom. It's where like the more labor is produced, the less things become valuable. So like if you're producing things, they just lose value eventually. And so like as accumulation happens, like worth goes down, and it's naturally going to fall apart. It was never meant to stick around forever. It's only been here since the 1640s. So like it's just a short-lived thing there that like seemed to work for the I mean, work is relative for the industrial revolution. It's just falling apart now when we're post scarcity. So when like you can't commodify value in that way, it just naturally becomes worthless. Like you don't need it. So we'll naturally reach a cooperative state or a totally owned state. And I use the word state as in like state of existence, not like a country. Because
A
either way, I think
place of being. Yeah.
the idea of the arbitrary borders we draw is going to fade away in either situation because there'd be no need for them in the feudal fascist state, and there's definitely not going to be any in a communist.
Seems like a very dismal thought, and
Well, that's
it
because you don't
seems
like
very
communism.
pessimistic.
It's
No,
not
no,
that.
no.
I mean,
It's the idea of the transition. It's the idea that like nothing that I do right now matters. Nothing that I attribute to society in this point in time would
sure it
be
does.
anything that has to do with the society that we build in the future,
Well,
potentially.
well, I mean, but you could. I mean, for one, no, because like everything we do echoes forever, like regardless. Like if as long as there's people around, like they're still gonna have like some sort of like echoing of your actions here. But like you could say like is and from like a very like materialist kind of approach to it, like yeah, nothing matters. Like in my opinion, like I'm almost a nihilist. So like everything is eventually not gonna be here. Nothing is permanent. So in that sense,
A
you know.
lot of things are permanent inside of the ideologies that we put forward in our societies and in the not even our societies, in the way that human nature is structured. And so, if you want to solidify yourself here on Earth, you need to become a figure like Jesus. You need to become a figure like the fucking pyramids. You need to become something that, so like the individual pharaohs that built the pyramids, regardless of them, their names are still here in the history books, but the structures that they created are on display.
Hmm.
They fucking did it. They did, but what does it
It's
mean?
gonna be gone
What does it
eventually.
accomplish?
It's
And
gonna be gone
regardless of that,
eventually.
what does it mean for them? They're not here. They don't even know.
Yeah,
Or do they
true.
know? Are we reincarnated? Here's a question for you that isn't written down.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts about like the afterlife and stuff like that? Do you think about like reincarnation at all, or like God
I
and
think
stuff like that? Like, what are your
fundamentally,
thoughts?
well, like okay, so like I take a very like analytical approach to like literally everything. It's just how my neurodivergence works, I think. And, like my ADHD, I just like I've always thought about things like in numbers and probabilities, etc. So like no, I don't think there's like a continuance of this self as I currently am because everything that I am as a human being, I tie to an identity of being a mortal thing that's temporary. Like my wants, my desires, my passions, like lust, etc., etc., is all tied to physicality. So like even if which our energy looks like it probably goes on, right? Like energy can't be created or destroyed, etc., etc. And so like wherever that goes, even if it somehow continues on or forms in a body somewhere else, it's not you because you are your wants, your desires, your material life. Like, because that forms your entire thought paradigm, which informs your entire personality. So I think this is our one go. I think we get one go. I guess is the easiest answer I can give you.
Yo, man, I 100% feel where you're coming from, and I had to write it down just so I made sure I didn't like lose it. Well, what do you think about the idea that like you talking to me right now, this has
Hmm.
some interpersonal relation around how you deal with conflict? Because before we came into the conversation, you didn't know if I was going to like call you out for stuff and be like, "Oh, I hate communists," yada yada yada. No, we're just chilling out, we're hanging out, we're relaxed, we're
Hmm.
having a good conversation. You didn't know what's going to happen, and I specifically don't really tell people what's going to happen so that they just come in and realize that like life is life. We're chilling out, and I'm sorry if you had anxiety before. That I could have we could have talked about it. Maybe I should stop doing that to people,
No, no,
but
I was fine. I
yeah,
generally
but
get how you
regard
approach things. I think, yeah.
right,
Like
like yeah, we've
I think
talked
we at least
before.
understand
We've
that.
talked.
Like I think we're both like try to be very logical and reasonable
Mhm.
people. Yeah.
And it's not a debate, even though it's called the open debate. This is never a debate. I have one
Right.
debate tomorrow, but this is not a normal debate. We have conversations here on the channel. But when you disguise the idea or discuss the idea of, I said disguise personally, or like yeah, for real, disguise the idea, or when discussing the idea of being reincarnated and the idea of your energy in the
Hmm.
body that you're in and how you exhibit your emotions, right? You say, I think that it is only personal to how I'm feeling right now, and it would not exhibit into another spiritual soul based on the way that you have built your emotions, because all these emotions that you feel are based on the way that you have lived your life. But when you take a step back and you think about the idea of loving people and loving creatures, loving things, like the idea of like a base love, there's a difference. Like, we don't really have more words in English other than love, but like amor, there's differences. Like loving your partner, loving
Mm-hmm.
people, loving the world, loving the what you see. Like the idea of love and how you feel those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, man, I think that we are deep creatures, man. I think that we are very much more than these physical flesh bodies that we're talking to each other in. And I think that they do extend further than just this life. But are they reincarnated into other bodies? I don't know. Maybe we're just here to. I just think that who I am and who you are will
Mm-hmm.
always resonate, regardless of who we are. So that to be able to have this conversation, not everybody can do this. We're talking about really serious things. When you start talking about
Mm-hmm.
communism, when you start talking about Antifa, when you start talking about like actual political beliefs, people get so angry. And especially you and I, we've never sat down in a room together. We've never had a one-on-one conversation like this. And a lot of people are not able to talk with somebody, especially that they don't know on a personal basis, and not get so upset. And I miss that type of discussion. And you seem like a very good soul. It's not something that you come across all the time, and I think there's a much deeper relation to the way that you and myself and a lot of people out there in the world exhibit themselves within those that understanding of love and different random projections of bullshit. I'm not going to really continue to ramble on, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. I just
No, I
don't.
get
I
what you're
think that you're
saying.
deeper than what you're giving yourself credit for, man.
Well, no, I'm just trying to, like I said, try to like approach things very analytically. Like, do I believe it's possible? I do. I do believe in like a possibility of a soul or like, and I think that there's stuff, but we just do not have the capacity as humans to understand. I think like consciousness is one of those things, and like if there's like a higher deity, power, God, what have you, I think it's possible. Yeah, of course. Like I've never been correct about anything. Like humanity has never made a correct assumption ever. Like we always have
Your mic's
opinions that are
super fucked
formed.
right now, bro.
What's up?
Your mic's really fucked right now.
Is it really? I'm
Yeah, bro.
sorry.
You're
Better?
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just have immature opinions or like not fully formed opinions and stuff like that. So like I don't ever like say I know everything, anything at all for like absolute certainty. Like I guess few things, but like in general, no. So like yes, I think it's possible, and I do get that vibe occasionally. But like I feel like anything that like that is out of my capacity to understand and probably doesn't affect my material life in any way. So like I just kind of choose to like push it to the wayside, at least for now. I
Yeah.
go with my gut, and like I trust who I am, so I just roll with that a lot.
You probably should trust who you
Hmm.
are. That's the whole point of being firm in your own opinions and being confident in who you are as a human being. You should definitely always know what you're talking about if you're going to speak about an opinion. I
Yes.
would never try to push you on something that you were not fully confident in. And everything that you've discussed here tonight, I've been very appreciative of, because I think that you're somebody who does believe what they're talking about. And I want to hear what you're saying based on that
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
that
No,
don't really know what
I
they're
will not
saying.
talk
I'm
about
not going to
things.
try to like get. I don't want a gotcha moment. I want to actually understand and learn. I don't want
Can
to
we
sit
block
here and
this
like be
dude
like,
real
oh,
quick though? Like it just
well, we're
or
not
at
going to
least
block him,
no.
but we can mute him. What's going on?
Yeah,
What's
that's
wrong?
fine too.
What's the
Like
deal?
he's saying horrible things.
Well, what is the problem? What is he saying? And you just call him out. Be like, what's going on? If somebody's being rude in the comments, call them out. Say what's going on. Tell them what's up.
Yeah,
What's he
it's
saying
Adam.
that's
Adam's
rude?
threatening people's lives. Like, yeah.
Oh, when he said about the thing with the take them to the wall.
Hmm.
Um, I will say this: don't say anything like that again in the comments below, and do not overtake the comments. If you're gonna say weird shit like that, I understand that he's trying to be edgy because we're talking about communism and the idea that once again, I we can talk about this. I saw a
Hmm.
comment or a video of yours that said communism has not ended the lives of any individuals.
Hmm.
And some people do have a very visceral reaction to that because they look at, when they hear communism, they think of the same situation when you hear of the idea of World War II. And you can
Hmm.
understand where people do get upset, right? Like it's not like it's coming from nowhere.
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
So A, don't talk shit in the comments. Don't say weird fucking things like that. But B, let's have the real conversation. Let's talk about it. So what
Yeah,
is your response to that?
I mean, like, communism is
Not
an
not
economic.
him, not him,
Yeah,
not this dude. The
yeah, yeah.
idea about like
What you said, yeah.
how it was
The
impacted. Yeah.
communism's, yeah. The communism's killed zero people because, like, it's an economic practice, and the theory, as it's written, calls and advocates in zero ways for anyone to be unalived. Like, it's an economic structuring of society for free and equal access for every person. That on its own can't end anybody. Now, can communist regimes that control states end people? Yeah. Have they? Of course. But usually in greatly overinflated numbers, is like they say, like 20 million for Stalin or whatever. It's not nowhere near that. It's like 3.5. Like, so, but it's still 3.5 million people. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying that, like, the ideology of communism calls for the death of zero people. Capitalism calls for the death of a lot of people. Like, that's just my main difference with it.
Oh,
My main
whoa, whoa,
contention.
whoa, 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 whoa! No, no, no.
No.
I agree with your statement. The communism calls for the death of zero people.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism calls for the death of zero people. There are
Debatable.
impacted situations from both ideologies, but neither of those ideologies call for the unaliving. Have to
I
self
think you might I
censor
think you might agree
myself
with my
here.
point. I think you might agree with my point. Like, I mean, like, I'm not trying to, like, besmirch. I'm not trying to talk smack. I'm saying, like, literally just from my, like, understanding of it, it would result in death. Like, the idea of owning private property. It means that someone else can't own that property, which puts them at a disadvantage. You take that to its natural conclusion that they have to work for their living, and, like, it's saying that, like, for sure some people can't have things, so it necessitates an other class, which eventually leads to, naturally, the death of people,
So
like,
this
on
is
its
the way
own.
that I can ask this question and like put it forward, and the way that people have the conversation with individuals who exhibit the ideology around communism.
And so,
They say, "Where has communism worked? And look at all the unalivings that have happened due to the ideologies that communism have put forth." And then, are you still there, Saint? Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, I'm still here, yeah.
Okay, 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 yeah, okay.
Let the cat
And
out.
then individuals on the opposite side, you're good. Then the individuals on the opposite side will say, "Well, look at the all the unalivings that have happened due to capitalism." And then
Hmm.
I would ask you, what is the comparison between these two ideologies where A has one, it's a mix between has it been implemented and where it has been implemented, why have these things happened? And then B, where has capitalism been implemented and how have these things come into fruition? So both have definitely had negative impacts on society, but
Hmm.
why and how have they come to be?
Any socialist movement that's ever sprang up in the world, anywhere at all, starting with the Bolshevik Revolution, has been greatly interfered with, a lot. Like, and, like, it's well documented. It's just, like, it's not disputed even. So every time that it comes into being, they do everything they can to sabotage it. They've overthrown literally democratic elected leaders for fruit companies. The CIA has. And, like, spend billions of dollars in Chile trying to mess with their elections. I mean, they do everything they can to mess it up because it does work. Communism does work. Every time socialist structuring has been implemented anywhere in the world, any country in the world that's taken on a socialist structuring had seen great improvement for the vast majority of people. Like, looking at Cuba's quality of life metrics, Cuba, under an embargo, has a better quality of life than the United States of America. Like, factually, they have a 99%. Well, I heard it was 100 now, but I haven't actually verified that literacy rate. They have a 50% reforestation on the island. They have a lower infant mortality rate and a longer life expectancy, lower unemployment, and I mean, like, there's a lot of proof that it does work, that these ideas do work. When you, like, do things for people, it works. Um, when you don't have to pay half of your stuff to a rich person, and there's not like rugged individualism, every person for themselves fighting for everything, when there doesn't need to be, people tend to live better, and it's a thing that's happening. And they're not starving. That's not true.
Yeah, don't worry about that. So where have you
No,
seen communist, or where have you seen capitalism failing, and why is it failing in comparison to where communism is working?
the entirety of the world, every country, everywhere. You can see like the direct correlation at pre-USSR, post-USSR 1% income share. Like it was around 5% for the entirety of the USSR. It's over 30 now. Like you can see the quality of life get worse for people where capitalism is implemented, and you can see it get better where any socialism was. Like just look at the global south though, as far as how capitalism is failing us, and the amount of people that are suffering and in current slave conditions and abject poverty. Like people are dying. Like I said earlier, they don't have access to clean drinking water in lots of places. That's nonsense. That shouldn't be a thing. We obviously have the ability to get everyone clean drinking water or decent housing. And we have 16.5 million extra houses than we need, and only 500,000 people are who are unhoused. No one should be sleeping in a box under a bridge. That's just a fact.
Yeah, it's a very negative thing.
It's
Um,
necessitated by capitalism. It needs a other group of people. It needs an oppressed class of people. And like
yeah,
communists just
the
want to
housing
help everybody.
situations
That's
are,
just it. Hmm.
and that's the whole thing. Like at the end of the day, I think the most people, like the majority of people, want to help people, regardless of where they're coming from and what they believe the best solution is to help these
Hmm.
individuals. What they want to do is not see people suffer. And so, even though you are saying certain things that, sorry, that negate what other people believe, it doesn't go against the underlying causes of why they are believing what they do believe. Everybody wants to see individuals succeed.
Most
And
people.
it's just
Yeah.
how do we get there, and how is the best way to benefit these individuals and people? And we have different opinions around how we're going to fix these problems in society. But we all agree that
Yeah.
there are mad fucking problems in society, is what I'm learning.
Anyone who thinks there isn't just isn't paying attention. That's all there is to it. Anyone who's for the
You
status quo
can't
is
be
just
paying
really
attention if you
overly
don't think that
privileged, or
there's
just
anything wrong.
yes, that's
in
right.
my opinion.
No, you'd have to just have blinders on. You'd have to be overly privileged and living a cushy life to just. Oh, you froze again. Yeah, yeah, I did. Not everyone wants to see people succeed. That's true. No, it froze. It's a one-on-one jazz. One person's having. Okay. Cool.
Oh, if Saint's talking back, he dropped out. He's gonna have to pop back in. He was frozen. I was booted. Excuse me. If anybody is reporting this fucking stream, you get the hell out of here right now. You're not welcome here. I don't bring anybody that isn't willing to have the conversation. So don't come in here. If this isn't a place for you, then get the fuck out. Said you turned off. No, I'm right here. Come back in, and we will continue the conversation. I will reiterate the question because I have it written down, and I'm sure that I can figure out what I was asking you before. Two men with ADHD trying to have a conversation. It is what it is, guys. We're going to continue. What's going on? The host key is freezing. The host's internet is freezing. Okay, let me look at what's going on here. Oh, boys. Okay, boys and girls. I see. Okay. The host's internet keeps freezing. Yeah, the 5G is gone. I don't know what's up. You're right. My internet probably is freezing. And I got the list here. I got the page down for Saint. We got more questions here. Hopefully he comes back out. We've got a bit more things to talk about. I've appreciated the conversation so far. Everybody in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. How do you feel? How do you think the conversation's going? Are you enjoying these types of discussions, the one-on-one conversations, or would you rather have everybody yelling at each other over top of the chat? Let me know what's going on inside your heads. But Saint.Stereo, I'm waiting for you to come back. I'm going to have a quick commercial break, and I appreciate you all being here.
Hey, no, you good. I mess with that soundboard so much. Like, they should not have given me that.
Right? It's nice. I swear, man, I didn't even add you back in. I don't know how you got back in here, but I'm glad you're back. I didn't even add you back in. I was literally just having a commercial break. All of a sudden, you came back in.
No, you're
Thank
good.
God
Take
you're
take
back.
your time. Yeah, if you need 1 second, you take your time. I'm good. I'll talk to the comments.
Yeah, we're all good, man. We're all good.
Okay, cool.
No. I don't know why we got cut off, but it is what it is. Hopefully, you're not getting reported or anything like that, because
No.
I advocate for anybody who reports people to get the fuck out. Don't be part of this stream. Don't be a part of this channel.
Mm,
Nobody wants you here, and nobody wants you around. Not the kind of people that we want around in this type of community. So get the
I
fuck
definitely
out.
don't. Yeah. Reporting, unless it's like something that's like truly harmful, I've never reported anything. I don't.
What is? Let me ask you that. What is truly
Scroll. Just
harmful? What do you
scroll.
mean like that? Well, what would be
Against
truly
children,
harmful?
usually. Against children.
Yeah.
Things that are violent
Okay.
against children is basically my, like, I guess that's like for sure that's something that's an issue. Like, I think everyone can agree
Yeah,
upon that.
that's 100%. Yep,
Yeah,
100%.
nothing
Yep.
really outside of that. Like, I don't really see a lot of. I mean, like, there's like certain situations, but like really, the only thing I've reported was like a video that was violent against a child. So.
And is that
Yep.
something that
Yep.
you often come across on TikTok, or?
No, no. Like I said, I don't really do a lot of scrolling, so I should see more content, but I don't. It's just I don't know. I'm always making content instead of watching it.
Mhm. It's hard like that.
Hmm. It's just stuff that you see that kind of like injures your soul a little bit. Like honestly though, it's like, ugh, that's awful. Shouldn't be people like that.
Yeah,
But
no,
it
I
is what
understand
it
that
is.
sort of situation. I would definitely report shit like that if I came across it. I would not report content that I disagree with and like
Never.
opinions that I felt like. Do you find that? Okay, here's a question: is there any
Hmm.
opinion that you find to be harmful to the point that you would report it on TikTok?
Opinion? Like no,
A thought,
not
a
really.
belief.
Like I guess like pedophilia. Like outside of that, like I mean like do I report I don't I just personally I know like other people have different opinions about this, but as I am as a person like I just scroll if I see something hateful. I don't even take the time to report it because for one like I doubt that's gonna do anything, and two it's just not what I do. Like the only time like I've
Yeah.
ever like leaned into like using an authority for anything is if I saw something like I couldn't personally do something about and really needed to, like like violence against children in any way. I just scroll
That
away.
is that brings up a very good point around the difference between people like you and I that grew up in a different era than
Hmm.
individuals who are younger. We don't look to authorities to fucking fix shit for us.
Right.
If you have a problem, you either fix it yourself or you if you can't fix it yourself, well fuck. I guess you're going to figure out how your emotions regulate to how you are not able to fix it, because there's
Yeah.
nobody that's going to fix it for me. I don't ever look to somebody else to fix my problems. And I find that a lot of the younger generation, their first response is report. Get to somebody that is an authority and make them deal with it. Where it's like, that's not how I was raised. I either
Well,
deal
they
with my fucking problems or they don't get dealt with.
well, like the newer generations are better at utilizing the tools they have, I think. Like me, like I didn't have a computer until like I was way older, like in college, like until I needed one. And so like I feel like just the difference with access to technology just has like a totally different grouping of people and how they interact with stuff. Because like they're a lot more politically conscious as well. So like I don't think it's like a all negative. I just think there tends to be negative tendencies in every generation. Yeah, I think
What do you think politically conscious means in 2023, though?
just to be interacting with politics in a meaningful way, like to be aware of the situations of the world and trying to better it or not. I guess I mean just like as long as you're politically aware of the things that are going on and participating in a dialogue. I guess that's politically conscious.
So, a more leading question for you would be, in 2023, do you
Hmm.
believe that the average mainstream political media that is being portrayed to the individuals who are not political is leaning towards any particular side?
I mean, I think it's keeping us infighting. I don't think it matters what side it tends to lean to, and I think
One
there's
more
because
time, I'm going to say
uh,
this to you. I'm going to say this to you.
yeah,
How many left leaning channels in the United States report the news compared to right leaning channels that are mainstream outlets?
I'd say the reason, yeah, there's way more left, I guess. Like, I mean, but like I say left like very loosely. Like, I don't think they're left. I don't consider them to be left of anything. Um, they're still on the right wing in my book. So like,
Oh,
yes,
they're
there's a
all
lot more
right.
Democrat.
Okay, okay,
I could say
okay.
Democrat or liberal leaning. Yes, absolutely. There's Democrat and liberal leaning channels, which are like, and there's like way more than there are conservative leaning channels. But like, I'd say that's because conservatives are more of a monolith with their ideology. Like,
Can you name any though? You're in the United States, so I'm in Canada. How
mhm,
many, like, what are the channels that you can name that are, let's go two hands. We've got two hands, 5 on 5, right?
yeah.
Left wing or left leaning channels that are news oriented, and right leaning channels that are news oriented. With the right hand and the left hand. Let's see what you can
I'm
name.
gonna be bad.
Just
Like, I
because
mean,
I
like,
don't know, I'll tell you
there's,
Canadian perspective, but I want to know your
I,
American perspective.
I don't know how many channels. Like, okay, so like HLN's probably left leaning. Then you got CNN, MSNBC. I guess you can count like, is ABC really a news channel? Like, I don't think so.
I think so.
One second.
ABC. Yeah.
ABC, okay. Then like yeah, I mean like
Yeah.
any of the main. So like I can just do the right ones, and for sure everything else is just left leaning more or less. So
Well, I want to hear the
Fox,
right ones because I don't know them.
Fox News, OAN, Newsmax. That might be. There's a. That might be it. There's what was that channel going back was on?
And did
There's a different
OAN or
channel.
Newsmax, were they ever even in circulation before 2020?
No, no. It's just like
They're
Fox
brand
News is
new.
the only place to go for the right, and
Yeah.
then like the left would go to CNN. The left, but like yeah. So like it was
And then
basically
CNN has a few. CNN, MSNBC, ABC.
yeah.
When you say ABC, if that's
HLN.
not even correct, I think it's like what I think of, like when I think of kids shows and stuff. Whatever that one
Yeah.
is.
NBC, I guess, like or
Yeah, NBC or
then there's
MSNBC.
public access television, but like that tends to be more left as well. And they do like and C-SPAN is just reporting on Congress though, so like that's neither left nor right, depends on who's in charge. I mean, they're just honestly just
Yeah.
rolling a film camera on the Congress, so it's just not really interesting.
Few more right-leaning networks in the United States than there is Canada for sure. But even with the three, it's insane to think of that only those two. Like, there's only been one for so long, and then those two popped up in 2020, around
Yeah,
2020,
I mean,
I think
like,
it was
it
OAN
just
and
there became, like I said, like there's a lot more politically conscious people now. Like there's a market for it now. And like I said, I mean, they're both a monolith as far as their ideals go. They're both right wing. They both support capitalism. I mean, like
They
as
all
far as
support
like political.
capitalism. I mean, if you're going to be like against capitalism, like you are, every single news organization does. Like the government supports
Yeah,
capitalism. Every
yeah, of course.
single ideology that's going to be put forward is in support of
Hmm.
capitalism in current society,
From a news station,
2023.
yeah.
Your ideology, like no, not even just from a news point of view. Like your ideology, when we talk about like fringe ideologies, I could ask you this question, I guess, because I'm not trying to put anything on you, but I want to ask: is there any full like movement towards like a communist movement that is like making steam or making headway in 2023? That's like moving forward.
Hmm. Yeah, like I mean,
What's up?
like there's
What's
a
going on with
there's
that?
so many more activist groups. Like it starts with activism, it tends to like social justice problems, which like I hate that phrasing, by the way. Anyone that calls themselves a social justice warrior, I just stay away from usually. Um, just big into liberal cancel culture shit, which is nonsense. But like the people that are like anti-racist or anti-fascist, and they get into politics that way. They see like the contradictions in society, the inequalities, and they want to fix that. And if they're really honest with themselves, I believe they will get to a communist ideology eventually. So like the movements that are the protest movements, the movements that are in the street, the like one I'm with Guardian Rebellion. Oh, zombies actually. Yeah. Guardian Rebellion's it's a part, I guess, like you could call it an anti-fascist, anti-police movement of EMT and health workers, and etc. Like so, like there's these places, and there's so much more than there was 3 years ago, like insurmountably. So like everything being steam, like as far as the politically conscious goes, as far as that is.
Hmm.
Jordan Peterson's.
But that is banking off of individuals really understanding that the ideology that you're putting forward relates to their political beliefs. Because there are you saying that there is a movement that is happening within the Antifa atmosphere, or you're all banking off individuals coming to a collective understanding that you all agree the same topics?
My practice kind of like aims at individuals. Like there are movements, but like I find any sort of movements to like possibly be problematic for a lot of reasons. Like at heart, like I'm an anarchist, and movements are led by people that are fallible, that have issues themselves, that may not have like the best interest of everybody. I like to like give people the ability and reason to come to their own conclusions about things. Like I feel like people naturally, like you said it earlier, like people mostly people want to better people. They want to help people when they see them
Hmm.
suffering. They want to alleviate suffering if possible. And so like I just try to inform as many people as I can about like what I believe is the correct way forward. And just like but like there is a lot more, like I said, just politically conscious people in the world by and large, because I think it's not really a choice anymore. Like if you're apolitical in 2023, I don't know where the hell you've been. Like that's weird. I don't get that. It's there's so many things
I
going
think there
on.
are more
Like
people that are apolitical in 2023 than have been throughout the last 20 years.
through the lens of like, okay, so when I say political, I mean like just wanting to embetter people. I don't mean like picking a side. I don't mean like
Okay. Okay.
affirming to a party line. Like I definitely don't do that. Like I don't tote any lines. Like I am where I am, but because my beliefs for humanity, I'm a humanitarian first. Like honestly, like and then like everything else is just kind of a building upon that for implementation. Like I said, my core ideology is I don't want people to get hurt for no reason. I don't want people to get bombed. I don't want war to happen. I don't want any of those things to happen. That's
Yeah.
truly what my ideology is.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't saying that like in a way that was trying to attack individuals. It was just like in the last 20 years, I would say that there are more individuals today that aren't like when you look at the statistics around individuals who are voting, less people are voting today. And it
I
seems like
mean,
people are they're gaining political um political like support en masse, but it's like no, there are less people that have even come out, and so it seems like you are gaining a lot of votes, but less people even voted. A Less people voted in this in general election than you even got votes. Like you don't represent anybody. More people don't care about your election than voted
yeah, then
for you.
yeah, Yeah, I mean that's true. That's like historically true in the United States as well. Like elections have always had a very low participation, and like maybe, hopefully, like I like to think maybe just people are waking up and realizing that's never going to happen. There's never going to be any effectual change with the ballot, in my opinion. You can't. You
Yeah.
can't vote the power out of the richest hands. They're never going to give it up that way. So,
Okay, I just wrote something down that I wanted to ask you here.
hmm
Um, your thoughts on Antifa here. You're saying that it's not like a huge general organization, yada yada yada.
there's one
When I
ideology.
say
There's
yada
only
yada
one
yada,
ideology that you
that's what
can.
I say.
That
When I say yada yada yada, it's not disrespectful. It's just like
no, of course, yeah,
you
yeah.
said a whole bunch of things about this, but it has nothing to do with what I'm about to bring up. So,
hmm
what are your thoughts about Rose City Antifa and the way that they have formulated themselves and created a brand around their ideology?
Yeah, I'm fundamentally against it. Torch Antifa, Rose City, like those sects of Antifa, like okay, you're the same with like Anonymous doing shit like that. It's like you're fundamentally opposing your own ideals when you do that because you're creating a structuring of hierarchy, which is not. It's an anarchist organization. What do you? How does that make sense? Like, and it's like they do things with funding and stuff like that that I'm very suspect of and just very naturally against. So like no, I'm not for that really. I kind of don't like that people are attempting to co-op and capitalize off of an anarchist movement. It doesn't make sense. It makes me question their motives. If they do good work, that'd be great. But like if they, I mean like I'm very very highly suspect of it.
So, what are your thoughts on Patriot Prayer?
I don't have any. I've never heard that.
Okay,
I mean I can guess I'm gonna have like I'm not gonna like it. I imagine and like just off its name. I'm I'm not like
it's an
patriotism or
organization.
nationalism.
It's kind of like it's an organization. It's similar to like Proud Boys, but they rose to prominence due to their conflicts with Rose City Antifa,
Patriot prayer. I don't know why. I've
whatever
never
you
heard
want
of
to call them, brigade, correlation, like whatever the fuck you want to name this group of individuals. But the way that they both came off, both look terrible, in my opinion. And this is why I like having a conversation with you, because I think a lot of people that were perhaps against this ideology. No ideology, in my opinion, is 100% sound. And so everything's worth looking into. But when you have people like the representatives of Rose City Antifa talking about these things, it really puts it into a negative light. And I'm never going to
it.
listen to what they're saying because they're coming off very hateful.
Abrasive.
Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to have this type of conversation. And so, hearing things that you were saying tonight, like all conservatives are clearly not fascists, that doesn't make sense. Those two don't align.
Right.
You need to exhibit these attributes in order to be a fascist. That's rational. That makes sense. It allows individuals to listen to what you're saying and not turn away from your ideology based on these visceral words that are being thrown out, these negative attributes.
Yeah.
Um,
I think a lot of
and I
movements.
appreciate that.
No, but yeah. Well, thanks again for hosting the space and like having me on. I appreciate that. It is something that we need better optics with because like for sure fighting people doesn't look good. Like we all understand that I think. Like but like there is no other way to combat blatant hatred than to go out and meet it. At that point, like there's a lot of other stuff that Antifa does. Or people that call themselves Antifa that they do that is not that has no public optics whatsoever. There's a lot of other things too. There's like a lot of OPSEC. There's a lot of things that exist solely online, like in a big way. But like
Fix
the
your mic one more time.
Sorry, the street
You're good. You're good.
the street stuff is necessary. It is also necessary because like it instills like not necessarily a fear, but at least a consequence, if nothing else, of going out and being hateful. And that's what it's meant to do. So like there's not really any good answer to the optics of like black blocking because we know it looks bad. It looks horrible, but like
It
there's
is
no other
bad. It
option.
is horrible.
It's not though. Like, cause like what's happening is it's horrible that we have to exist. Like, if people don't like Antifa,
But
stop
you
being
do
fascist.
understand that a lot of these times, you do understand that a lot of the times that these individuals go out and they exhibit these black bloc tactics.
Hmm.
They're exhibiting these things within neighborhoods that are negatively affected by the things that you are actively trying to advocate against.
Yeah, yeah. Like, well, that's like a huge understanding that like leftists need to start to like realize too. Like, people are workers a lot of the time, but like once you're full on fascist, there's not really any coming back. You tied your whole identity to a hateful ideology, and you're not going to let go of it anytime soon, probably. That's like more work than I'm willing to put in
But
to
I'm not.
anybody.
We can get into this a little bit, but the idea of like Buddy in Kenosha fighting back, regardless of how you feel about what happened in that situation,
Hmm.
take a step back and look at the city of Kenosha.
Hmm.
That's not a place that you should be rioting and burning down.
That's not what happened, though, really. I mean, like, there's there's a lot of like misinformation around this shit in a big way. A lot of the riots during the George Floyd protests were found out to be caused by white supremacists. A lot of who they've apprehended and admitted to doing it, but then people don't believe that because they're like, oh, they're just saying that was a thing. Because, like, yeah, I mean, like, but like, there's a place and a time for sure to cause riots sometimes. Like, when you have done everything and exhausted every avenue to have your voice be heard by the people in charge and they're still unaliving you on a daily basis, maybe they'll listen if you destroy some things. Like, even if those things, like, and they're all, I mean, like, they're buildings, you know, they're not people's lives. People's lives should never be like measured against buildings or money. Like, these are human beings, they're brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and daughters. Every flavor of human is taken from us by the police. And it's something that, like, if it was necessary to riot for, I think we should riot for that. I think we should burn down cities for that. If people are dying in the streets on a daily basis, I advocate the burning down of cities to, if that's going to improve the situation in any way. So, like, I understand that there's a time and place for it, but like, a lot of those were not caused by people in either Black Lives Matter or Antifa, like, according to police reports. And I'm not pro police. I'm just saying that's just a like the ones in Seattle for sure were like, and there's video of that too. The one in Oakland was as well, and the one in Minnesota was exacerbated by white supremacy, if not caused by it. So burning down cities is
So I
not
don't
psychotic.
agree whatsoever.
Let,
Yeah, no, I don't agree, but I'm not here to argue or disagree. I'm here to listen, and this is something that I would need to further research and go and try to figure out for myself. Try to find all the information that I can about it. If I'm going to try to debunk the ideology that you're putting forward, I would need to find all of the information that I can to ensure that there were. I am sure that there probably are white supremacists that were out there
well, yeah, I mean, it
inciting
makes sense, right?
violence,
That's what
but
they do. Yeah,
what
yeah.
I would have to do is compare the differences between what was happening in those situations to those people. The same as like situation with January 6th, and the individuals that were inciting individuals to go in to the Capitol that were quite literally under federal regulation. But that's not what we're talking about. Sorry,
The stuff
got a
actually
little
bores me,
cough
to be
here.
honest.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know the whole
like
situation there.
the Jan 6 stuff.
It's
I'm just like,
oh
I don't
my
even
good
fucking care.
god.
I don't care.
Oh my good God!
But
It's
I
unbelievable
just
at this
real
point, but it's the
quick,
same
can I
sort of
address
situation that
this?
we're doing. Yeah, of
Can I
course.
address this comment? Do you mind? See,
Yeah, go ahead.
Katie, Canada Freedom. My viewpoints like may seem unhealthy to you, but like it's because like you know, to me, like your viewpoint seems unhealthy to me. It seems like you would support police and like stuff. So the idea of being controlled by an authoritarian enforcer of the state's power and will, which is literally just an extension of the super rich, is kind of a nonsense thing
You
to me, and
froze for a
it's
second
been
there, at least for me.
been been proven to be
But yeah, man, you
it's
don't
not
need to address
factual.
the comments too much because
No,
oh,
but I wanted to.
sorry,
This is to the
you
point I was
froze for a
making.
second.
No, you're good. Am I back?
Oh, of course,
Okay.
you're good.
So
Go.
sorry again, Katie. My point of view may seem unhealthy to you, but like, it's unhealthy to me to support the police, which is an extension of the state, which is an extension of the super rich, which is literally just here to control and oppress you. I mean, the idea of police officers are not here to help you, and it's been proven ineffectual time and time again. And they do things on a regular basis that harm the community in a large way. They steal $3.5 billion from the American people on a yearly basis. They take 3 human beings, innocent Americans, from us every single day, statistically. It is an organization that's only 2% effective as it's described, as they say they're supposed to solve crime, right? 2% of all major crimes is ever solved. And of those 2%, some of them lead to exonerations. So supporting that is nonsense to me. It's nonsense. It is always justified to fight violence with violence. You cannot be complacent with it. I'm not saying burn the whole city. I'm saying there's a time and place for everything, it seems like.
Listen, man, I understand that the comments get you going. Don't worry about
Hmm.
those. We're gonna end the
No, no,
stream
I'm
here.
fine. I just wanted to
Um,
talk about that
I
point.
have
I
one
just want to
final
explain my point
question
further.
for you.
Hmm.
Of course, then that's fine for sure. But the comms can get you going. I have one final question for you, and I'd love
Hmm.
to know your answer.
Sure.
The question is, where do you see yourself at this time next year?
I don't know. I don't really plan like that. I never have. I just kind of do what I do and see where I end up. I'd like to see things be further progressed by then, but like I have no cement planning for like my activism or my personal life. It's just is what it is, I guess. Yeah, and I have no plans, honestly.
Hmm.
Mm.
But you
Like
still
as far
plan to
as
be
like,
here with us.
yeah, as long as I'm here, I'm cool with that. Of course.
Good,
Yeah.
good. That's what I like to
Not a
hear.
good answer, but like I can't lie about it. Like that's honestly like I don't know. I'm here now. Like I achieved
No, that's
everything I
real,
wanted
man.
to in my life personally. Like so like I only set out to do so many things. I didn't think I'd even get what I got. And so I got that stuff and now like I have nothing, no plans. I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, man, that's a good answer. It's an
Yeah.
honest answer. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for
Mhm.
realism, right? I'm looking for people that are real, that have convicted beliefs, that are willing to have the conversation. And you are one of those people. Hence why I had you
Mhm.
on here tonight. But I do need to end the stream. I
Yes.
appreciate everything that you said, and I
No,
appreciate
it
the
was a wonderful
conversation that
conversation.
we've had.
Me as well.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me on. Have
I
a good night, everyone.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Come back at any time, and we will have more conversations in the future.
Absolutely. Anytime. Just let me know, or I'll just swing by when you're having a laugh. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night, man.
That was a very good conversation. I really do appreciate Saint coming in here for the conversation. And yeah, guys, I thank you everybody who's been here in the comments below, speaking their mind, telling us how you feel. He is a very nice human being and a very good human being at heart. We have different beliefs, but that doesn't mean that we can't have good conversations. Hence why we're here to discuss things. He's a communist. I'm a person that does not prescribe to political beliefs. But guess what? We came together and we had a good conversation, and I appreciate that. With that being said, Saint, thank you for coming out to the conversation tonight. Thank you, everybody in the comments below that came out to discuss communism, political beliefs, Antifa, activism, all that sort of good stuff. And we will be back tomorrow for an actual debate between me and Mole Man about propaganda, straw man arguments, manipulation, all sorts of weird tactics. But we're going to be having an actual debate between me and another individual. So I appreciate everybody, and I hope you come out tomorrow for that discussion. And I thank you, everybody who's been here tonight for this discussion. With that being said, my name's Elder. If you didn't